Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Apologies again, running late 2 times. It's November 15th, 2018. 4 years ago today was literally the worst day of my life. Talk about that at the end of this podcast. Let's get to it since we're running late. It was last month, October 16th, 2018, that I said to watch out for this date. Said it's a date for Masonic rituals. It's a date for murder rituals. I said, surely we will see some celebrity deaths in the headline. And so far, there's 2 I'm aware of. I won't be surprised if there ends up being even more. The numbers are vicious this year on this date. But before we get to the current headlines, I just want to go back in time and look at a historic murder story. There was a book written about this by Truman Capote called In Cold Blood. The murder happened November 15th, November 15th, 1959. It was the Clutter family of Holcomb, Kansas. And just notice right away, Holcomb, Kansas has the Gematria 43 and 74, like killing and Masonic. And the thing about November 15th being the 319th day of the year is that using satanic Gematria, cipher I don't often use, but a cipher that has a lot of relevance, killing and Masonic are both 319. And again, Prince has that song about this number. Prince ended up dying 319 days after his own birthday. And just for a teaching moment, just in case you're not familiar with satanic Gematria, I want to show you what this cipher is all about. It's based on the alphabetic order, but instead of starting with A is 1, you start with A is 36, and then you just count up. A is 36, B is 37, C is 38, up to Z is 61. And the thing about satanic Gematria is when you write it out, it sums to 666. And what is 666? It's the 36th triangular number, meaning when you add 1 through 36 together, it's 666. So this cipher has a lot of rhyme and reason to it. We talked about Donald Trump's grandmother, Elizabeth Trump, who died on June 6th in the year 66, 6666. Her name's 666 in this cipher. Mr. Eye for an eye. So anyway, it is a relevant cipher. I don't use it a lot, but when I talk about 319, I do. If you've read my book, Letters and Numbers, in the chapter Murder by Numbers, there's a number of 319s in there. So here we are, the 319th day of the year, also the day leaving 46 days remaining. And as we know, the word sacrifice has the Gematria 46. Genesis 46 begins with a sacrifice. The name of the family, the head of the household, was Herbert Clutter. Look at his name, 67 and 86, just like blood sacrifice. You know, this happened in the year 59. 59 is the 17th prime number. Kill 17, Mason 17, Freemasonry 59, the 17th prime. Modern Freemasonry began in 1717 using the Jewish Gematria cipher. What I would say is the most important cipher outside of the base ciphers, kills also 59. Again, the 17th prime, and in our most pure cipher, kills 17. So a lot of murder numbers for this date, for this story. And what's interesting is Truman Capote called this story In Cold Blood, which has the same Gematria as Masonry. And when he released this story, he released it in the year 66, the 11th triangular number, and he released it on the 17th day of the year. January 17th, the story was released. In Cold Blood. The people blamed for the killing were ex-convicts, and I don't know whether they're really guilty or if they're people who were framed for what looks to be a Masonic ritual. You know? Some things jump out about both of these men's names. Perry Smith, one of the accused, he has the Gematria of 119, the all-seeing eye number. In fact, all-seeing eye sums to 56, 61, and 119. A story that captivated the minds of the masses. Family murdered in cold blood. Why? The surname Smith does also have the gematria of 66. Story did release in 66. Could be coincidental. Richard Hickok, his name has gematria of 86, 76, and 121. So does Blood Sacrifice. His name gematria of 43 and 47, like killing. 33 and 39, like masonry. The town Holcomb, Kansas, we focused on the 43 and 74. Another number that really jumps out is the 218. That's what death sums to in the English extended cipher. The last death threat I received in the mail at my old house was for February 18th, and I see why they picked that date. Just playing with me by the numbers. But, you know, this was no accident. This was murder by the numbers, 1959 version. And again, this code of killing people by the alphabet, by the dates in the calendar year, goes back well before this. So I'm sure there's a whole lot more to research here. Something I'm going to start doing with each podcast is just look at a story from the past. Maybe some days I'll even cover multiple stories from the past, but this one jumped out at me because I knew what this date had to do with killing. And then sure enough, you know, I said last month, October 16th, 2018, why we'd be reading about celebrity deaths today. And so far, again, there are two in. The first of which was country music legend Roy Clark, who used to host Hee Haw. He's dead the day after the Country Music Awards, the CMAs. And it's interesting how they bring up this thing about how he's been performing since he was 14, because dead and end equal 14. The name Roy is also 14. But again, what we are looking at today, 64-date numerology, 44-date numerology. Next month, this will be the date December 14th. December 14th will be the date with the 64 and 44 numerology next month. And you can expect more of the same next month. This year, it was extra deadly because it fell on the 319th day of the year, leaving 46 days remaining. But again, 64 and 44, they correspond with the gematria of kill. Alphabetic order forwards, alphabetic order in reverse. And again, the 319th day of the year, the day leaving 46 days remaining. What was interesting about him dying after the 52nd annual Country Music Awards is Country Music Awards actually have gematria of 239, the 52nd prime number, and death also corresponds with 52, as does Kabbalah. And remember, Kabbalah is not evil, but there is an evil half that's invested in hurting people. Country Music Awards also have the gematria of 113, like Roy Clark, the man who's dead the day after. And whenever, a musician dies, an entertainer, I like to go back and look at their notable work. He was 85 years old, this man, the reflection of 58. If you followed me back when I used to do Jeff Young's radio show, Jeff Young, the former guitarist of Megadeth, I was on there pretty much every single week until we had our falling out. He got mad at me because he couldn't persuade me that the earth was flat. And also, Jeff was telling me that literally every single person in Hollywood's a tranny, and he wanted me to start talking about that too. And I just said, well, even if it's true, I can't prove it. And he got mad at me for that because he wanted me to believe him, And it was like, dude, just because you're a famous rock star doesn't mean I'm going to start repeating everything that you want me to say. I'm not your puppet. You could be right, but I'm only going to speak about what I can prove. And, I wish I didn't lose him because, it was nice to have him in my life and him helping spread the work, but it is what it is. Anyway, when I used to do his radio show, he used to bring up every single week. He was like, Masonry runs the music industry, but it runs country more than any other branch. And he would always make that point. And it's just interesting to note that 85 is the reflection of 58 because Freemasonry is 58, secret society is 58. He says there's no exceptions in country music. Everybody's a Mason. So I imagine that's true of Roy Clark too. And of course, Roy Clark, 113. What else is 113? Scottish, as in the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So anyhow, it was Roy Clark's upcoming birthday that was his 86th, the blood sacrifice number. And from the day he died to his upcoming birthday was 151 days, the 36th prime. The reason that's interesting is because his first album that he ever put out was The Lightning Fingers of Roy Clark back in 62. And that album sums to 151. Ends up dead 151 days before his 86th birthday. Blood Sacrifice 86, that album in 62, Sacrifice alone 62. And again, also 46 and dead on the day, leaving 46 days left in the year. And again, this is the evidence of how relevant all four of the base ciphers are. You just see how the numbers come together in these perfect relationships day after day. Impossible coincidence. His full name was Roy Linwood Clark. Gematria 78 like Scottish Rite, 84 like Masonry. Interesting. 103 and 113 like Scottish. Clark's also got the 36th thing going. Remember, 151 days before his birthday. That's the 36th prime. So RIP. Since that death, the breaking news, just before I hopped on here, the man formerly known as Puff Daddy, now Diddy. I forget, it was like a year or 2 years ago that he changed his nickname again, and then a few days later they said it was just a joke. If somebody could go back and remind me what that nickname was that he changed it to, that nickname had Gematria 59, like Negro, like slave, like blues. I can't remember what it was, but I remember covering it today, and I said, look at that. His new nickname equals 59. What do you know? But anyway, he's still going by Diddy, and now his ex is dead at 47. You know, that's my campaign. What is 47? Because this number just pops up so much. The other year when the Notorious B.I.G. movie came out and Jay-Z and Puff Daddy were, you know, promoting Notorious, the two men who benefited most from his death, they were both 47 years old at the time, and they did the thing at the Brooklyn Nets game. They had the tribute to him. I forget what they called it, Notorious Night or something. I was pointing out how they were 47 years old when all that was going on, Jay-Z and Puff Daddy. And we know what 47 is. It's the very important number to the Masons. It's not a secret that Jay-Z is a Mason. I don't know if Puff Daddy is or not, but he probably is. There's the images of Jay-Z with his white gloves on and his Masonic bow tie and all that. We don't have those images of Puff Daddy. But anyway, don't forget that Notorious, you know, as a Notorious B.I.G. equals 47. And again, no two men benefited more in the world from his death than this man right here and Jay-Z, the same guys who were doing all sorts of tributes to him when they were 47 years old not long ago. So not only is this his ex-girlfriend, but it's the mother of his 3 children, you know. And it's just a reminder, this is what it is in this, you know, Masonically controlled entertainment world. You've had other entertainers come out. The rapper Noriega. It's been, I forget how many years it's been now, but he came out and he said there's only 2 ways to make it, you know, in mainstream entertainment. You either got to take it up the rear end literally, or you got to give up people in your life. And, you know, it's sad that, you know, so many people want fame at that price, you know, to give up your family and friends. So that's the definition of a sellout. But this is what it is. And this is what it is that we just document day after day, year after year. And, you know, I've said why a million times now, why on these dates we read about the sacrifices. I was real explicit about it last month because I said not only is today the 4464 date, but again, it's the 319th day of the year. Prince let us know about this one. And here we go. So Puff Daddy just turned 49 years old. His ex is a model, and he's the head of Bad Boy. And I couldn't help but notice how model and Bad Boy are both 49. She's dead 11 days after his birthday. Just turned 49. Her name, Kim Porter, has some standout gematria. It's got 118 like death, 55 and 125 like numerology, 55 also like sacrifice, 34 and 38 like murder. They say she died of a cardiac arrest. Look at the image TMZ chose to break the news of her death. You think it's an accident? I mean, this is a model. This is a woman that has 1 million photos of her in the world. They don't put up the most flattering photo of her. What were they sure to capture in the background here? You see the 35? Number we talked about a lot with the death of Aretha Franklin and our friend Darrell. If you were just listening to the live stream of the football decode, the man who called us, that's Darrell. He used to work in the radio business down in Houston. And he got out of it because he got to the point where it was like he had to start doing things that he didn't want to do if he wanted to stay in the industry. So he just decided to move on with his life and do something else. And that something else paid a lot less, but he wanted to maintain his integrity as a human being. So anyway, he was calling to tip me off about this because it was the breaking news. But it's not an accident that the 35's in the background. Rap's 35 for one. The other one is Svengali. And remember, this is that thing that means, the evil hand behind you in the entertainment industry. The thing that makes you give up your loved ones so that you can produce your next record or maintain your seat as the head of Bad Boy, or so that the next headline's not about your sudden and unexpected death at a premature age. Remember, the word spider also equals 35, and Svengali is represented with an image of a spider, and all of these things are a web of deceit and evil. Big number all over Aretha's death. Madonna getting up and giving her speech about Aretha's death, which was mostly about herself, and she begins it with how she began her career with $35 in her pocket. Not by accident. These people are all about the numbers. And if you heard the live stream I did yesterday, one guy called in, he sort of debated. Sort of. He was the closest thing to a debate. If you read the comments, he left a really nasty comment after. He wasn't nasty on the phone, but then when he got off, he left a comment about what a prick I am. And I was just thinking, well, why do you talk like that when you're on the phone? But anyway, his comment was also saying how, you can't use this work for proof or evidence of anything, which was kind of what he was trying to say on the phone. But like I said to him, I said, anybody can dismiss any evidence and proof in this world. But if you have common sense, you can see the perfect patterns and the same numbers used again and again in the same rituals. And you can look at things like this right here and go, yeah, it doesn't make any sense for them to choose this photo. But we've already learned about what the meaning of 35 is, and we've seen how it's used in these death rituals before. So no way is it an accident out of the million photos that exist of this woman that TMZ chose this. And TMZ and these other publications do this again and again and again. Keep in mind in our base ciphers, Rap's also 46. This death comes on the day leaving 46 days left in the year. Today, November 15th, excuse me. Sacrifice also 46. And for another parallel, remember, today's the 319th day of the year, connecting to Masonic. Notice Roy Clark and Bad Boy are also both 113, that big number of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. So, like I say, the numbers in these rituals always point one way. And then that's the other thing a lot of my critics do. They say, oh, you blame the Freemasons too much. The Masons, they're just the henchmen for the Vatican. Well, I'm not sure that's exactly true. Usually when I get that criticism, it annoys me because I go, okay, I'm not saying it's just Freemasonry. It's the secret societies of the world. They're an unholy alliance. But here in the United States of America, it is a big, long history of Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. They have their headquarters in D.C. Yeah, it used to be the Catholic colony. That's why it's between Virginia and Maryland. So all the pieces are there. But it really does seem that these terrible acts that we decode day after day, it seems that the people pulling the strings, again, it's this gang of Masons, and it's the Scottish Rite. which is the most Jewish branch. And again, this whole practice of coding numbers into words is largely a Jewish practice. Does it mean it's just them? No. But again, the evidence points one direction. So, when the rituals are Catholic, which we'll get to, I got a Catholic ritual for you at the end of this, we talk about that. But I think through understanding the code, we can see what factions are responsible for what wrongdoing and who controls the music recording industry. Last time I checked, it was a bunch of you-know-whos. A lot of rappers talking about the you-know-whos. So, not sure how much influence the Catholic Church has over the hip-hop recording industry. Notice this reporting from People. People says the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office confirmed to People that officers responded to a death investigation at 11:38 a.m. in Toluca Lake, California. I didn't look at the location, but what do you think about 11:38? Again and again. Death, murder, killing, RIP, they all sum to 38. In this case, so does rapper Notorious B.I.G. dead on a date with 38 numerology, March 9th, 1997. Let's just look at Toluca Lake. I don't know. She's supposedly her residence, so I don't know if it'll paint any picture here because this is where she lives, but Toluca Lake. So the one thing that does jump out about this is if you use the master numerology of K, Toluca Lake is 38. Not too crucial. What's more important is they responded at 11:38. Toluca Lake, California is also 81. We call that the ritual number, 8181. I was trying to find her birthday, and this website has her at 46 years old. This could be completely incorrect, but if her birthday is actually December 16th, that means she died a span of 4 weeks and 4 days from her birthday. 4-4, like 44, like being dead on the date with 44 numerology, the kill number. It would also be measuring to her 48th birthday. Sean John Combs, the full name of Diddy, is 48. Can't help but notice his full name is 213 either. Number coded all over Black history. That's also a span of 32 days, and Bad Boy also has the GEmatria of 32. But I'm going to try to find a better source for her birthday. This is the only one I could find. But again, I mean, even without the decoding, we just already know why she's dead on this date. It's got the kill numbers, the perfect pattern every month. Last month, October 16th, 2018, a number of deaths in the headlines. So here's another story of death. Top story, one of the top stories this morning on CNN. Her body was found yesterday. So she didn't die today, but the story of her death and her mysterious death, it comes today. So she was reported missing Tuesday. If you read the story, they suspect that she was killed either at some point Tuesday or possibly even Monday. But reported missing Tuesday. That's interesting because that was a date with 42 numerology. This happened in Missouri. Missouri's 42. So was female. So was lady. She was a ballerina, a symbol of feminism. That was also a date with 62 numerology, sacrifice 62, and her name equals 62. Raffaella Stroh. They said her vehicle had been where it was from the day before she went missing, which was at this Mark Twain State Park, which was November 12th. That was a date with 23 numerology. She's 23 years old. 83 is the 23rd prime. Murder's 83. Notice the gematria of ballerina, 74 and 38, like killing. Also, notice the 169 because that has a square root of 13. She was reported missing on the 13th. The 61 is also interesting because they're saying her vehicle had been there from the day with 61 numerology. With regards to Mark Twain died at age 74, a ballerina at Mark Twain State Park. You see, Mark Twain dead at 74, the killing number. Remember, there's that song out there. You can't understand a word that's said in it, but it's called GEmatria, the killing name. With the alphabetic order, GEmatria is 74, so is killing, so is Masonic, so is Jewish, so is English, so is GEmatria. Anyhow, Mark Twain has the value of 110 and 38. Also, the 61, her vehicle's been, and 61 goes with the ballerina too. 61 date numerology, they're saying her vehicle had been at this park from. Notice that ballet, she was a ballet dancer, a ballerina. Ballet has the gematria of 110 and 38, like Mark Twain. And her body was found in Mark Twain Lake, gematria of 139 like Freemasonry, 49 like Scottish, 86 like blood sacrifice. For the record, Mark Twain himself died on his 143rd day of his age, Scottish rite of Freemasonry. Mark Twain Lake, 49 like Scottish. Ballet dancer, 227, the 49th prime. A ballet dancer found dead in the lake. Here's her full name, Gematria. She was found dead yesterday. The date with the 43 numerology, Masonic 43, killing 43, ballet dancer 43. And then the news broke today about this young woman's death. And Raphael Ostrowick has this Gematria 64, also like kill. And the news came today, the date was 64 numerology. So something else. Okay, so getting off of the depressing death topics, story that broke late yesterday. This was after we did the podcast yesterday, but another shining example of what is 47. Yesterday was the day leaving 47 days left in the year. Michael Avenatti arrested supposedly for domestic violence. This man was just one of the lawyers for the Christine Blasey Ford ritual with Brett Kavanaugh, which we covered very thoroughly. I want you to see something funny about this guy. He's 47 years old right now, and he's also born on February 16th, the 47th day of the year. And then he gets arrested on the day leaving 47 days left in the year. You know, he was just part of the Brett Kavanaugh thing, Judge 47, the big number there in D.C. So, not only that, but from his birthday, February 16th, to his arrest was 271 days later, the 58th prime number. And think about how Kavanaugh worked for George W. Bush. George W. Bush, 58, like Freemasonry, like Rosicrucian, like secret society, like how George W. Bush won the election, won with an asterisk, with 271 electoral votes. You know, isn't it just a little bit too perfect? Again, Kavanaugh's the pick of Donald Trump, who won the 58th U.S. presidential election. And the day of this arrest, November 14th, 18, a date with 43 numerology. Remember, the whole Christine Blasey Ford thing had a lot to do with 43. She came out with her accusation on a date with 43 numerology. Kavanaugh worked for George W. Bush, who went to Yale Skull and Bones, who was the 43rd president. Kavanaugh's birthday is February 12th, the 43rd day of the year. So this thing, no doubt, a ritual synced up with that. And just as a reminder, George W. Bush won the election that came down to Florida, where his brother was the 43rd governor, Florida 43, Masonic 43, D.C. is the fourth letter, the third letter. And here's a headline from the day of the Christine Blasey Ford testimony, just to bring it back. Michael Avenatti, no question, Christine Blasey Ford is credible. And what do we have there? No question, 49 like Washington, like Kavanaugh, from the date of that hearing to the date of this arrest, 49 days. No question, this is a Masonic ritual. And how about the credible part? Credible, 58. Too perfect, huh? So again, like the guy who called in yesterday who says he's been following me for 5 years, it's like, who cares if this doesn't hold up in a court of law, It's like, does it hold up in your brain? Does your brain hold any water? Because, the same rituals, the same numbers day after day. It's either you have enough common sense to see what's obvious or not. And, I don't really care about the U.S. legal system. I'm not a law-abiding person. I don't care about man's law. Man's law is not an important thing to me. Man's law is corrupt. Man's law is used to hold the common people down. So, saying, well, I can't take this too seriously, even though you've called everything for the last 5 years, like that last caller said, because it doesn't hold up in a court of law. It's just like, dude, I want to burn every court of law to the ground, I don't care about courts of law. I care about common sense. I think we'd be better off if we go back to the days of the Wild West, have a sheriff with some common sense. And if he doesn't have any common sense, shoot him, and the new man with the common sense who can defend himself is the sheriff. I think the world would be a lot more sensible if it was that way. A lot less of this crap going on, A lot less frauds using lawyers to get away with their crimes and wrongdoing. Another thing I noticed about domestic violence is it has this gematria of 88. Domestic violence is 88. Even the word domestic's 88. The word domestic's also 47 in light of this happening on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. But the 88 jumps out in a big way because Judge and Gavel are 88. And this whole thing is synced up with the whole Kavanaugh show. One more distraction. If you heard my radio show last night, man called in and said, hey, did you know about this demolition of the Singer building? It was the world's tallest building at the time when it was demolished, and it was 47 stories. It was demolished in New York. So I looked it up, and I said, you got to be kidding me. It was torn down in 1968. I don't think I need to go back over 68 in regards to New York and 911, especially after yesterday and the last few days, what I've been talking about. But something tells me this was all part of the big planned ritual. Just one more tribute. So thought that was interesting. If you read about this One Liberty Plaza that went up in its place, it has 39 elevators inside. Who can tell me why there's 39 elevators? I know somebody out there has got the answer. Also this week we did a Gematria school, had a really exciting conversation at the end. I'm looking forward to making the plan happen, getting this website built, and people being able to contribute. And just see what comes of it. See if we can get some more excitement. See if we can build the knowledge. I believe we will. But I was saying it'd be cool if somebody just specialized in topics: science, history, sports, current events, politics, et cetera, murder by numbers. Because just every single day, there's just so many topics where you can apply this code of letters and numbers. Here's a big story today. Scientists confirm massive impact crater beneath Greenland's ice. And they're saying the crater is 19 miles wide. And this is the first such discovery of its kind in the entire world. So let's just go through it piece by piece. 19-mile wide, huh? Today's date has 19 numerology. November 15, 2018, 19. This is found beneath Greenland. Today's the day leaving 46 days left in the year, and it's a date with 44 numerology. Greenland, 44 and 46. And the name of the glacier that it's beneath is the Hiawatha, which sums to 46 as well on the day leaving 46 days left in the year. And again, the world of science is full of this code, from the periodic table to pretty much everything else. So it's just par for the course. And, if you read the article, they've been aware of this glacier and this potential crater there since July of 2015. But you see why they come out with the, scientific publication today and the confirmation. It's just all ritual. And don't forget that science has the gematria 58 like Freemasonry. And I've had some of my people say, Zach, how can you believe anything in science knowing what you know about numbers? And it's like, look, you guys, science is a real thing. Science is a way of operating. You all learned the scientific method once upon a time in school. You can't just throw science out, just say, oh, it's got the Freemason numbers on it, so it's all worthless. But this work right here, again, is science. We have a theory. We test it every single day. We build on our understanding. We get some things wrong. It's just like science. The thing is, in this world, scientific knowledge that's important to us is hidden. Scientific knowledge that's not important and that's misleading is presented to us. It's distorted. And it seems that oftentimes, they present things to us when they want to because they got some other planned ritual lined up. Or, just keep your eye on this thing. Who knows what we'll hear next? They release things to us when they want us to know. Stringing us along with, their day after day of planned events and agendas. So, anyway, I'd like to give you guys a little diversity of topics in this podcast. Just a reminder of how relevant gematria is across the board. How about this headline right here? CNN had this up all morning. Trump is pissed at damn near everyone. And look at how they emphasize pissed at damn near everyone. How's that in our 4 base ciphers? 110, 133. Just like how presidents 110, 133. And again, I'll remind everybody, when Donald Trump was running for president, I was saying, oh my God, is this guy going to be the next president? Because they were running headlines about him being the 133rd richest man in the world. And they made a big deal about his 133rd appearance on Fox News. Fox News has that gematria, like prophecy. So. And by the way, what this article was about is how Trump's planning or thinking about clearing out his whole cabinet and getting a whole new staff. That's funny because in the new season of House of Cards, the president gets rid of their entire staff and hires an all brand new team. And there's always been so many parallels with House of Cards and what goes on in the actual White House, even going back to Obama. But, yeah. Sometimes I think maybe this would even hold up as evidence in a court of law. You got the right judge. If you had some brains. I'll tell you what, I live across the street from a judge right now. He thinks this is real interesting. He thinks it's real interesting. Might even hold up in his court. But anyway, today, Brexit causing chaos. Good day for chaos, right? Today, the day leaving 46 days left in the year, caused the stock market to fall this morning. I haven't checked since this morning. I've been running around. Guess we could look. But stock market is a roller coaster on the way down, the House of Cards. Anyway, Brexit causing the chaos on the day leaving 46 days left in the year. Chaos 46, the Masonic motto for order out of chaos in Latin. Ordo ab cao. I got 2 phones now, so it's twice as exciting when I sell a book. I think we finally reached 10 sales for the day. Anyway, 46, it's the chaos number. How about it? It's also a span of 46 days from Theresa May's birthday, and from day one, this whole Brexit thing's been synced up with her. So for just one more coincidence, it's also a good day for Masonic rituals. She's from the land of modern Masonry. By the way, today is 11 plus 15, 26. Chaos is also 26 in the base ciphers. Down, took a tumble this morning. Not sure if it recovered. Also, that I felt that there was an element of truth to this headline. I don't know if we need the FDA to step in, but I mean, young people really are all over vaping. It's like, I feel like every young person's vaping right now. It's just the thing to do. And tell you what, maybe if we want to build up the cause, we should open up some vape shops, because people who own vape shops are making bank right now. I know a few people that opened up vape shops, and they are in the money. If only people would buy the letters and numbers book, like they would spend money on some vape. But no, I don't want to do that, man. I wouldn't want to make money off selling people something that's toxic. And hey, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure that the word vape with the alphabetic order is 44. Oh, and look, it's also 64. So, okay, we see why we're getting the vape headlines today. I even missed that part of it. Got the 44, 64 date numerology. But again, these young people, man, it's just like, it's like how cool cigarettes were when they came out, so. Told you guys when I was driving for Uber and Lyft, I picked up these young rich kids in Mercer Island. That's a really nice area in the Seattle area. Bill Gates has his home over there off Mercer Island. So did Paul Allen. But pick up these young kids, and all of a sudden, out of my back seat, I'm getting hit with this big cloud of fruity smoke. And I look back, I'm like, okay, young people, if you're going to smoke in somebody's car, especially when you're taking an Uber or Lyft, you need to ask. And I said, I don't think you guys can legally be smoking that right now. So one was like, can I please just roll down the window and smoke? I said, look, your destination's 8 minutes away. Just chill out for 8 minutes, and please don't smoke in my car anymore. And they listened. Then the next request was, hey, man, can you hook up my iPhone to your stereo? I want to listen to this song. And I forget. I let them do it. It was some Kanye West song. Can't remember. Oh, the young people. Anyway, what did stand out to me about this headline was the youth, because youth, it's got the gematria that goes with it today. Today's got the day leaving 46 days left in the year, 26 numerology, also 19 numerology. 89 goes with youth. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number. We're in the 11th month. And then we just noticed the vape thing too. The vape thing fits in right there. So no wonder the FDA stepping in. And I guess they're getting rid of the fruity flavors, but leaving you with the mint, menthol, and regular. So no doubt it'll have an impact. The kids do like those fruity ones. But anyway, more news by the numbers. So yesterday, Jeremy, he let us know about this game. He had it picked right. He had Michigan over Villanova. And look at how Catholic this whole thing is. Villanova's a Catholic school, right? There's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, and that makes 73 books in the Catholic Bible. And remember, in football, the head coach of Michigan recently went to the Vatican to visit Pope Francis. And then right after that, his star tight end with the last name Butt, he got drafted in a Catholic ritual by the Denver Broncos. Denver Broncos has the same gematria as Catholic. He became the 145th overall pick, which also corresponds with Catholic. He fell way down in the draft. So again, here's that evidence of how these sports leagues are rigged to the point again and again. And notice the total sum of points here, 119. Oh, what's that remind me of? Francis is 119. By the way, this game was on the day leaving 47 days left in the year. Vatican 119 on the day leaving 47 days left in the year. And again, it's this way. Notice in the first half, it was 44-17. Last year, these teams met in the college championship on a date with 44-17 numerology. The word Catholic has gematria of 46, and the New American Bible, which is the 73-book Catholic version, also sums to 73. Michigan's also 46, by the way, which also fits in here. Villanova falls to Michigan with 46 points. The difference in the score was 27. The New Testament is 27 books, even in the Catholic Bible. The first book's Matthew, 27. And here was the college championship. Villanova won with 79, the 22nd prime basketball, 22. They won by 17 to close out the basketball season that began in 2017. 17-point win on a date with 17 numerology. From that game to yesterday's game was 227 days, our number that has to do with pi and cycles and circles and rituals. So a little too perfect, if I do say so. And great work to Jeremy once again. And I also noticed something about what happened to me 4 years ago today that I hadn't noticed before. 4 years ago today, I came home about 7 a.m. and I'd left sometime after 1. I think I left about 1:30, got back at 7. I got to be home by 7 because back then I had a lot of crops to tend to. And I got home and the whole house was just tore up. Everything was upside down. Every piece of furniture flipped. A lot of things broken. The fridge, the freezer, everything was dumped. Every piece of clothing, closets, just everything ransacked. And everything that was worth anything in my house was gone. And when it happened, I thought about how just 7 days earlier, the Saturday before, which was November 8th, I'd had this scary thing happen. I'd been run off the road. Just in case you never heard this story before, I was going over to a friend's house, and as I was getting close to his house, if you're familiar with the Seattle area, I was in Kirkland. I was in Kirkland, Washington. That's actually where the first Costco was established. That's why it's Kirkland brand. But I was in Kirkland, Washington, and I was about, 20, 25-minute drive from my own house. And I was almost to my buddy's place. I was about a mile from there. And I was on a residential road, 1 lane each way, not the most well-lit road. And black SUV passes me on this residential road. It's not like I was driving slow or anything, but it just flew past me, and then it got in front of me and it roasted its brakes. It just slammed on its brakes, so I had to slam on my brakes. And I thought, okay, what's this person doing? Seriously, you're going to fly by me and then just roast your brakes in front of me? So then they didn't move. They just sat there. They just sat there in the road. I didn't know what was going on. There's a lot of money in Kirkland, and I was thinking, oh, maybe this is just some like rich kid that has his daddy's SUV or something. So I started to drive around him on the left side, and when I did that, he pulled up. He drove forward, and then stopped ahead in the road again. Stopped in the same lane. So I was like, okay, what is this person doing? So I wait again just to see if they'll go. And then eventually they do go. I think I tried to pass them again on the left, and then they went. And where they drove to was they drove right to my friend's house. They drove and then they parked, and my friend's in a house, little neighborhood. So they get in front of his driveway, and they leave their engine running, and it's cold, and tailpipes there. And so I'm like, what in the world? How does this person know where I'm going? And then I'm starting thinking, I'm like, is this my buddy? Is my buddy got some new vehicle? Is he messing with me? So I call him up, and he answers the phone, and I said, hey, man, you know somebody with a black SUV? And he's like, no. I said, okay. I said, something weird's going on. I said, this car just messed with me on the way here. And I said, if you look out your window right now, he's just idling in front of your driveway. So he looks out, he's like, huh. I said, yeah, somehow this person knew that I was going to your house because they just messed with me on the road, and then they drove and parked in front of your house before I got here. He's like, you want me to come out there? And I said, nope. I said, just stay in there. I said, I'm just going to get out and I'm going to come inside. I just wanted to see if you knew anything about this. So I got out and I went up to his door, and the SUV just stayed there idling. And I wasn't going over there to stay there very long. And I talked to him for I was probably there for 5 or 10 minutes. And when I came back out, the SUV was still there. And as soon as I came out, started walking off his front step and back to my vehicle, the SUV just like peeled out, did the thing, and took off down the neighborhood street. So anyway, I went back to my house after that, and when I got home, if anybody's seen the footage of my house that I got wrecked into on Christmas Eve, there's a gate in a concrete pad on that side of the house. And when I got home, the gate was just wide open. And the gate doesn't open itself. It's got a latch and it's got cinder blocks behind it. So whoever opened the gate wanted to open the gate. And I noticed that on the side of the house, the outlet, there was a microwave plugged in. And there was 39 seconds on the timer of the microwave. And it was this old piece of crap microwave. It was probably like bought at the Goodwill for $5 or $10. And I'm doing this decoding thing, so I know a little bit about 39. And I didn't know reverse gematria then, so I didn't know it connected to masonry. But anyway, I was sketched out. I didn't know like what was in this microwave or who'd done this, who'd opened up the gate and come and set up a microwave there and set it with 39 seconds on the timer. So I called up my friend who lived by my house, and he's like, "You want me to come over there and help you out and see what's up?" And I said, "No, I don't want anybody to come over here because I don't know what's going on." And I just wanted him to stay on the phone. So I said, "I'm just going to walk around the outside of my house and see if anybody broke in or if anything's unlocked. And I just want you to be on the phone in case something happens." So I was like, "Okay." So I was walking around the house and all the windows seemed secure and all the doors seemed locked. And I said, "Okay." I said, "Everything looks good on the outside." I said, "Let me go inside the house too and just stay on the phone with me and just see what it looks like inside." So I went inside and everything looked fine. Didn't seem like anything was out of place. And I said, "Okay, the last thing I'm going to do is," I said, "I'm going to go out there and I'm going to unplug that microwave and open it up." And he's like, "I wouldn't do that, man. It could be a bomb." And I was like, "Well, keep in mind what had just happened before this, you guys, is we just had the shooting in Washington State at the high school there just before the vote. And I had tried to investigate that. I tried to drive up there, but I couldn't get near the school. And I'd made some phone calls to the school and didn't get anything back, and called the local police department. So all of this stuff, that big national news story, that shooting had just happened in my backyard, and all this stuff happened right after. But anyway, my friend was like, he wasn't so sure about messing with the microwave thing. I was like, "Well, what am I going to do?" You know? I said, if I'm being messed with, it's not like I can call the police or something. I mean, who else would just, because I told him also what had just happened, how I'd been cut off with the SUV and it knew where I was going. And I said, I mean, this has to be the government messing with me. And my friend's also somebody who said at the time, he's like, "I don't know if you should be doing all this, man. You might be messing with the wrong people." But so anyway, I unplugged the microwave and opened it up, and he was on the phone. I said, "Okay, see, there's nothing even inside it. It's just like they just put this here to mess with me." So that was November 8th, right? 11/8. Then 7 days later, my house got it. And I noticed now that was my 118th day of my age. And I didn't know that death corresponded with 118 back then. Probably corresponds with other things too. But now I just think about how it's on this day that has to do with killing. And we were just talking about this with Puff Daddy's girlfriend, who's dead today. Where's she at? Her name was 118. You see? So my girlfriend has this theory that maybe because what happened to me again, how I got burglarized was my girlfriend and I were separated at the time. I had her rent a inexpensive apartment right by her school because then she could get to school by herself. And just at the time, she wanted me to stop doing this work, and I didn't want to stop doing this work, and we were fighting a lot about it because I was getting threats, and she just thought I should be spending, because she saw that I was spending all this time on this, and I could be working more. And I was working for myself at that time. I had my own business, which was very lucrative. So And that's the other thing she was doing at the time. She's grown up and matured since then, but at the time, because I had some nice cash flow coming in from what I was doing, she was always wanting me to get her expensive things. And I was like, you don't need all this stuff. And then even that was being a fight. I was like, come on. So anyway, it was the first night that I went over there. She wanted me to come be with her that night. She was just so upset. She had this bad feeling. She couldn't sleep. And I didn't want to go over there. And I told her like 10 times I wasn't going to go over there. And then it was 1:30 in the morning and she was still asking me to come over. So I just went over there to be with her. And, you know, I had no idea that when I would get home, I would find what I did. But she has this theory that maybe if I hadn't come over that night, maybe they would have come and killed me that night. So I guess you never know. But anyway, 4 years ago today was the worst day of my life. I couldn't have been any more upset, you know. It was a nightmare, so. But I didn't let it stop me, you know. It actually motivated me even more, so. It's amazing for me to think that it's been 4 years since then, you know. Time really does fly. And maybe another week I'll tell you how I had to rebound, because I was literally up Schitt's Creek without a paddle when that happened. And all I had left after that happened was $1,000. And the only reason I still had $1,000 is because when they ransacked my place, they didn't look behind one of the pictures on the wall where I'd stuck $1,000 in the picture frame. And I shouldn't say that out loud. Maybe they'll come back here again and rip up all my pictures. But yeah, I was down to $1,000. And I used that $1,000 to make a big recovery. So luckily I had some good friends in the medicine business. But yeah, that was a day I'll never forget. So I also remember how days after it happened, whatever video I made, 2 people left a comment at the same time. And I don't know if it was just like the organic matrix or if it was 2 people messing with me. I can't even think. Somebody quoted a Bible verse, and it was about, you know, if you knew the thief in the night was coming, you wouldn't have left your house. And then the other person left a comment about how to calculate your life lesson number. Because up to that point, I wasn't doing the numerology of the life lesson number. And the day that my house got it was a date with 33 numerology, November 15th, 2014. 11 plus 15 plus 2 plus 0 plus 1 plus 4. And I'd really been going after the police locally. You know, that's a big number with the police too. And that was the other thing. At the time it happened, I'd had the police officer, the undercover officer. Why can I not think of his name right now? Can still picture his face with his bald head and his mustache. But him in his black undercover car hanging out outside my house every single day like it was his job. And then that never happened after the house got burglarized again. So anyway, you guys, that concludes what I wanted to talk about today. And if you want to call in, the number is 509-731-0567. 509-731-0567. So we'll check out the chat here. Hopefully we're broadcasting. Okay, it looks like we are. That's good. Hey, I think this is Chigozi calling in.
Hey, what's good, Zach? What's good, everyone?
Hey, man.
Hey, yeah, I just called to share some information. I saw today some market rigging. The energy sector, as I've been documenting, they do things by the number 54, 45, and 18. Those are numbers for oil and gas. Likewise, sun has those numbers. And the sun, a major source of energy. Likewise, we have oil, natural gas, major sources of energy. So they parallel that. That's why BP's logo is the sun. That's why that was a big treasure water ritual, the big BP oil spill, all by those numbers. But today or yesterday, natural gas hit a huge peak, its biggest pump since 2010. So in 8 years, yesterday was the date with 18 and 45 numerology. Gas equals 5418. And on top of that, that was 45 days from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission's birthday. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission is the United States federal agency that regulates the transmission and wholesale sale of electricity and natural gas in interstate commerce and regulates the transportation of oil by pipeline in interstate commerce. So they regulate the natural gas in America at least. So 45 days from their birthday, and it was 45 numerology. Natural gas futures rise by 18%. Again, oil equals 18, gas equals 18, sun equals 18. It was 18 numerology. So knowing that, I said, okay, well then today is going to have a huge collapse because, it just makes sense. They have this narrative out that they've been saying that the weather's going to get colder, that the supply is the lowest it's been in 15 years, but it's just a bunch of propaganda. It's all speculation. It's all propaganda manipulation. And knowing that, that's why it didn't hold its level today. There's a huge sell-off with natural gas on this sacrificial day numerology. So I just wanted to share how that example, a very clear example of the rigging of the markets. And that 45 days from their birthday, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, they were formed October 1st, 1977. That's also 1 month, 14 days. Just using alphabetical order, natural gas equals 114. And on 11/14, a lot like 114, that's when the huge pump happened.
Huh. Very interesting. Great research.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm going to do a video about that this evening, but I just wanted to share that while I could.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Well, yeah, thanks for the show, Zach. Looking forward to listening to more callers, listening to more information.
All right, brother. You have a great day.
You too.
All right, take care, man. Just in case anybody doesn't know, that's Chigozy Truth. That's his YouTube channel. Dan says, did you look into the Liberty Tower someone talked about last night? Yeah, it was actually part of this podcast. Hold on. Right here. The caller last night talked about how this Singer building was torn down in 1968 in New York City. And at the time, it was the tallest building ever to be demolished, 47 stories. And One Liberty Plaza, One World Trade Center. It does seem like it was some predictive programming for some symbolism for what was to come. Think about how George W. Bush just got the Liberty Medal on 11/11, another tribute to 9/11. So, if anybody wants to phone in, the time is now. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. We're over the hour mark. Oh, that's weird. I see the comment about your video being a minute behind the chat. Very weird. I don't know what to say about that. All right, you guys, we can wrap it up here today. There'll be more to talk about tomorrow. Appreciate all of you. Oh, wait, Jeremy's got it. Zach, you should read my comment I left on the basketball article. Oh, hold on. Let me do that real quick. I don't know how I didn't see that until just now, especially with the bright orange thing there on the screen. Let's see. All right, so Jeremy points out they went all out to hit the sacrifice numbers. That's a good point because it was 226 days after, as well as the span of 227 days. Sacrifice 226 in the English extended cipher. And we just saw the death of that Michigan athlete days ago. We just covered his death. The Michigan football player who was the third black man drafted into the NFL and whose name was Triplet. Triplet. So Jeremy writes, the reason they are using sacrifice is because the previous tournament was coded to Lupercalia, the Roman Valentine's holiday involving the sacrifice of a wolf. And we got the wolf team, Loyola, in the Final Four. As we know, many suspicious deaths happen in connection to each championship. This season, all eyes are on the Zion Blue Devils, of course, coached by the man born on Valentine's Day, February 14th, which falls in Lupercalia. Yeah, very great work, Jeremy. Really piecing it together, man. Awesome. Awesome. I forgot that sacrifice was 226 in the English extended. So here where I document the span of days, 227. If you don't count the span, it's 226 days later. And again, sacrifice, 73 and 46 as well. Alphabetic order sacrifice, 73. Alphabetic order numerology sacrifice is 46. Did I measure how many days this was from the Pope's birthday? Let me think. Guess I can just figure that out in my head. This game was 33 days before the Pope's birthday. His birthday is December 17th. Let's see, we got a caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, Zach, how you doing? I was the guy that called your radio show last night saying that the Flyers would be next to win the Stanley Cup, remember?
I do.
Yeah. I just, I figured out something new. I made a new discovery. But first, let me just recap what I said. If you remember, I had said that they were going to win on June 13th. June 13th was the day that was exactly 3 years, 2 months, and 2 days since the death of the owner of the Flyers. And June 13th was the day that left 201 days in the year, and in the Frank Baconis cipher, Philadelphia sunk to 201. Now, if you write out June 13th in words with the TH on the end, not June 13, but June 13th with the TH on the end, it sums to 201 in reverse order.
Huh.
I don't know. What are the odds of that happening? What are the odds of that? I mean, throughout the course of 365 days a year, can you type in any other day? And in GEmatria, it comes up to exactly how many days are left.
You know, it would be a good experiment. It's probably not very many. It's probably a very small amount.
So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, it's a great observation. You might be right on there with that Flyers thing. So,
yeah.
Very good work, man. I'd love to see you guys using it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, that's all I got. Enjoy the rest of the night.
All right, you too, man. Appreciate the call. Keep up the great work.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Yeah, last night we had 2 callers. One guy saying Winnipeg and another guy saying Philadelphia. Maybe those will be the teams. So, Jeremy White says his find of the day is why they're using 1,000 points of light and 1,000 oaks, etc. Temple Mount equals 1,000. I got to go see what cipher that's in. Let's see what cipher it's in. Is it English extended? I'm realizing that Jeremy likes the English extended. It is. Jeremy's finding a lot of fruit there. So, good work, Jeremy. Very interesting. Yeah, 1,000 points of light's Daddy Bush's thing. He was honored for it on September 4th, the day leaving 118 days left in the year. Then shortly after that, his granddaughter got married on his 118th day of his age. George H.W. Bush. Or no, is it George Herbert Walker Bush? I think it's George Herbert Walker Bush. George Herbert Walker Bush is 118. When you write out 41, it's 118. And when you write out ossuary, it's also 118, and skull and bones gets their symbolism from the ossuary. So, like the camaraderie in the chat room. Somebody asked if I can do something about the trolls who are trolling in the comment section of the Patreon page, and I don't know what to do about that. There's no way to block somebody from commenting. So, you know, if you're going to follow me, there's always going to be trolls around. There's been trolls around me for pretty much 5 years now. You know, people live at my blog and troll it every single day. But ever since they figured out how to censor and hide the comments, I noticed the trolls aren't there as much either. So. Hold on. CNN article about hold on. CNN pill 9/11 truth. Let's see if this brings it up. Truth serum drug. What? This is like Brave New World. They made us read Brave New World a lot in high school. That and Lord of the Flies and The Giver. The CIA, I did not know about this story. Good heads up here. The CIA explored using a drug it believed could act like a truth serum to interrogate prisoners about possible terror attacks in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, according to a once classified report made public Tuesday. So that's 2 days ago. So November 13th. Date with 42 numerology. What's truth serum equal? That date had 62 numerology, November 13th, 2018. 11 plus 13 plus 20 plus 18. Again, the base ciphers, I mean, what are the odds? This is what I hate about the critics. You're using 4 ciphers. Okay, even with 4 ciphers, what are the odds that this stuff lines up like this every way? You know, it's like impossible. Truth serum. Plus, we know what that number means. Last night, the first caller I had last night did a big thing on MK Ultra in 62. I'll put that on my blog. He'll find it. He'll probably call in next week with an even bigger decode on this. It was a 90-page account. Oh, I know why they went with 90. Project Medication. Huh. Project Medication. Is that equal? I got to think more about that one. It just got me thinking about how the beginning of this year, the first Monday Night Football was a big September 11th ritual. If you caught my work then, it's the 99th NFL season. 9 times 11 is 99. I got to think more about that one. I'll link this article in the description so you guys can read this if you're interested in it too. I'll do a post on this. Talk about it more tomorrow. Great heads up. Hey, how do I leave a comment here? What in the world? He who controls the weather controls the world. Lyndon B. Johnson said that, I never heard that quote before. How am I missing that one? He who controls the weather controls the world. Is this a real quote? Huh. Was it 62 or 61? That big Mason number 62. Number that has to do with God. Elohim is 62. Torah is 62. Garden of Eden 62. 62 mentions in the garden in the NIV. I guess if you can control the weather, you can mess with the natural garden, huh? Well, some great tips here. I want to make sure I'm not missing anybody's comment. I'm glad we're keeping it going. What's the name of the drug in Brave New World? Is it Soma? Is that what it's called? Soma. I think that's it. My freshman year at college, people were selling these prescription drugs, and they were calling them Soma. I always stay away from pharmaceutical drugs. I definitely didn't try any. Soma. Chicon's using all the ciphers out there. Phoebe says the best thing to do with kids is give them animals to teach responsibility. Well, I would say just as the best thing to do is teach them responsibility. There's a lot of ways you can do it. Taking care of an animal is one. The author's name's Zachary. Is that right? Huh. Zachary Cohen. Perfect. Sometimes the gematria of these authors syncs up with what the story's about. Huh. It's got that Scottish right. Well, I'm gonna look more into this whole truth serum thing. I didn't see this story until you just brought it up. Oh, you know, this story came on the 13th, right? The 13th. Don't forget this, in light of it being the CIA. CIA's 13, right? And when you write out Central Intelligence Agency, it's 117, like 13. So no action. That story came on the 13th. Oh my God, the guy who called in last night is gonna love it. He was talking about how 62 is the number of the MK Ultra program. That was what his whole call was about last night. He didn't even know about this. I don't think we got him on the Patreon, but he calls in every Wednesday night on the radio show. He was first caller last night. Huh. What a trip. The old truth serum. Soma's a muscle relaxant? Okay, so yeah, they must have just been actually selling what the actual name of the pharmaceutical drug. Soylent Green. Yeah, if you've never seen the movie with Soylent Green, that's one to watch. Huh. I'm gonna go back and okay, I'm gonna go back and do some research on these things you guys threw at me. And also look more into the date that Lyndon B. Johnson said this thing about the weather. Well, consider that was during the time of Vietnam, and then that's when our government admitted about the weather warfare in Vietnam. So it makes sense it came around that time. And then that was 7 years after the UK admitted to their experiments. You guys are getting the snow already, huh? You should see what the skies look like here today. God, they sprayed this place like crazy today. It's even worse than the video I documented the other day. It's so bad here today. It's just nasty. First weather warfare funding was 1890 Texas. Really? Rainmaking efforts began in Texas in the early 1890s. Huh. I have to do some more research there too. Great information. Uh-oh, the Portland people are here. The Portland people. Hold on, I see some people that don't have wrenches. Hey, just a heads up, when I do the live streams on YouTube, and don't ban people unless they're being like really obnoxious and just spamming everywhere and just writing something completely off topic. I'm just getting so many people that are emailing me who are all upset, and they're like, I bought your book and one of your moderators banned me. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you were doing, but you must have been commenting something that didn't have anything to do with what we were talking about. But yeah, I mean, if somebody's being super obnoxious, it's okay to ban them, but oh shoot. Okay, I got to get off, you guys. I just realized on my other phone, I got a text from my lady. I didn't even hear anything, but anyway, she needs me to come pick her up. So you guys, again, sorry I was running late today. Appreciate your guys' flexibility and all the great comments and support. You guys gave me a few more things to research, and be back tomorrow. Tomorrow it's going to be before 1 o'clock, because tomorrow I have to take my lady to the dentist at 12:30. Or not the dentist. Tomorrow we actually have to go to the doctor. I've been at the dentist a million times lately. But tomorrow she's got a doctor appointment, so I'm going to do it before 12:30 tomorrow. I'll probably do it like around 11. My time. That's 2 Eastern. So. Oh, let me make sure everybody's got a wrench. All right, you guys, you're all welcome. Thank you. Really appreciate all you guys. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back a lot tomorrow. We got the podcast. We got Decoding Sports Live. And Saturday, we're pretty much all day together looking at NFL games like it's the most important thing in the world. All right, until next time, Truth Seekers.